Hello ladies and gentlemen. So at the end of the last video we ended with changing out the lateral links. I thought I was just going to be unbolt and bolt back in. Turns out the bolts were rusted. So some broke, some had to be hammered, and it took longer than expected, but eventually I got it off. So here are the old lateral links that came off. And you can see there's nothing wrong with the bar. The bar is not bent or anything. I mean, that was still good. As you can see, the bushings were actually pretty worn down. So that was why it was wobbling back and forth when I was trying to move the tire. And this side is worn down as well. Created a little gap, making the tire wobble back and forth. And that was actually done on both sides. You see it's worn down pretty good. So that's why I wanted to get under there, change it out. I mean, it wasn't a bad wobble like where it's make the vehicle swerve all over the place. It was a noticeable wobble, made some noise. So the rear ones were still okay. The problem was the front ones. So you see the front ones, see it's nice and shiny. Replace those two back in, and it is actually nice and tight. I tried to hand move the tires while they were jacked up, and they did not move, so everything seems pretty good. Right now what we're working on is the alignment. This is where it was marked off. I lined it back up, but when I was checking the tire alignment, so there are actually a lot of ways to do this. If you go online and go to YouTube and see how people do alignments, people will do it with measuring tapes and draw lines on the floor and all kinds of stuff. And if you actually go to a shop, alignment cost is like, I don't know, $100 plus maybe. Gotta drop off the vehicle, and they do a lot of technical junk. But the way I do it is with a string. As you can see here, there's a pretty good size gap. The string on this side is right up against the tire, so the tires run parallel with the vehicle. So with the string running against the tire in the front, and on this side the string should be sitting snugly against the tire, but as you can see, there's a tiny gap right in here. So that indicates that this tire is not in alignment. It has to go back inward a bit. Getting back underneath the vehicle, all I did was loosen up the center bolt. The outside bolt is what's going to align the vehicle. So I showed you a moment ago how they were lined straight up, but the tire was not lined up. So I turned this a good amount to bring this rear bar to the right. On the outside, when I turned the alignment nut, it pulled the rear of the tire inward. And as you can see here, it is nice and snug right up against the tire. That is indicating that it is lined up. It is straight, parallel with the vehicle. So that is how I line up the vehicle. Just use a string, run it parallel. Use a center block, use a string. I mean, this will save you quite a bit of money as long as you know how to get to the alignment bolts that move the tires in and out. It'll be no problem. So this side is done. What we're doing, the back side first, line the rear up first, then I'm going to use the string to line up the front tires. Since this side is done, I'm going to move over to the passenger side. Now we got everything set up on the passenger side. You want to make sure one thing I forgot to mention on the driver's side is that you want to make sure the string is sitting flush with the tire, because like I said, the tire is gonna line up the rear tire, because I just changed out those lateral links. So the rears, it throws it off sometimes it don't. But anyway, if you have the string way over here, if your tire's turned, whether it's to the left, to the right, and the string is way off, it's going to throw off the alignment. So for the front, all you need to do is turn the steering wheel a little, just so you get the string lined up straight. And now we come back here, rear tire, that part is sitting snug. And if we look pretty close, we are actually gonna get lucky on this side because it is really, really close to it. It actually looks pretty good. It's maybe off by about a 32nd. Okay, so like I said, this is how I do my alignments on my vehicle, and it might not be 100% accurate. I mean, we could crawl underneath, get dirty, loosen some bolts just to make it 100%, but I mean, this is pretty good. It's like 98% maybe. So you can compare this method to going to a shop and paying over $100. I mean, that the strings makes it still lines it up pretty good. So you're saving a ton of money if you do it this way. Like I said, all you need is a center block, a string, or you can go to YouTube and try it all their ways with the measuring tape, drawing lines on the ground. But I find this the easiest, simplest way. Now we got the vehicle off the ramps. So for the rear vehicle, you don't have to worry about, well, like I said, you're gonna mess with the steering wheel to make sure that the string is lined up with the tire. And when you do the front tires, you're gonna make sure, keep double checking that the steering wheel is nice and straight. And this is gonna determine whether or not the front tires are lined up. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing here. So with the tire, the string just touching the rear of the tire, we come back over here and we double check the front, and that one is actually off by, I say, about an eighth of an inch. We're gonna see the damage on this side to see how bad it is compared to the other side. Oh man. Okay, yeah, I don't know if you can see that. That part is off by, I don't know, maybe about 3/8 compared to the, it's about the same as the rear of the tire on the driver's side when I lined up the rear of the tire. So I'm gonna be jacking up the vehicle, loosen up the tie rod end, give it a couple turns and line it up. This tire is looking pretty straight. It's right up against the tire. And if you can see this side, the string is right up against the tire, indicating it is straight. If anyone decides to try this alignment method at home, make sure you are always double checking your steering wheel, because the steering wheel does move around very easily. It's a lot more simple if you have someone sitting in the vehicle holding the steering wheel straight. And also, so I don't get blamed for anything, if people do try this at home, make sure you loosen your clamp on the tie rod boots. I don't know if you, but anyway, right there's your tie rod boot. There is a little clamp that sits on the end of it. If you start turning your tie rod, you will tear that boot apart. So make sure you get the clamp off before you do that. Just got done doing the alignment on the driver's side. String is touching the tire. If you look on this side, it is very close. So there you go. Vehicle is lined up. See what else I could get done today, but the sun's already going down, so that's gonna be it for today. I'm gonna go into town tomorrow. I've been on this vehicle all week. Probably take a break, get back on it Monday, and take a look at the air conditioning. So, hello ladies and gentlemen, so it's been a couple days. Cold weather came back, so took a couple days off, but today we're gonna be doing the AC system. So on the AC system, I actually took everything apart. I don't know if anyone knows how or ever done an AC flush, but you actually take off the opponent, you hook up a tool, and it blows cleaning solution through the components, through the condenser in the front, the evaporator core sitting way in the back. You disconnect everything and you blow a cleaning solution through the entire thing. So the only real proof I have is the cleaning solution, which you have to use to flush out the system. So how it works is you pour the solution into the canister, you hook up the air compressor, and air blows the solution through the system. So like I said, you take it all apart, and then you clean them out individually, and then you pretty much put it all back together. So that it has been flushed out, it has been cleaned with this solution. And what these tools are for that I rented, this is the AC manifold gauge set. So this is going to hook up to the AC system, and this is going to be the vacuum pump. So the reason why I rented these two tools is so that, because of when I flushed out the AC system, some of this solution is still sitting on the inside. So to get that solution out of there, because if you leave it in there, it's going to mess up your AC, because you know the Freon has to freeze and then it has to cool down. So extra fluid, extra dirt in there is only going to mess up the system. So I got this vacuum pump and the gauges. So we're going to put a vacuum on the system to clean out any extra fluid that might still be floating around in there. Now we got everything hooked up. We actually got a brand new air compressor, and it was a brand new gauge set. Low side's hooked up, high side down there hooked up. Compressor is going to suck out any extra debris that was in the system, because like I said, I flushed it out. I would not have to put a vacuum on it if I did not flush it out. So I hope people know that what I'm doing right now proves that I flushed it out, because we had to get that cleaning solvent out of the system and any extra debris that might have snuck its way in, because I did have to take apart everything, unbolt, take apart the lines all the way down to the evaporator core and the condenser in the front, and everything has been blown out, clean out. Alright, so that's on. I'm gonna come up here, open these up. So if you notice, the needle dropped. It should be sitting at 0 when it's off, but with the vacuum pump on, it shows that there is a vacuum on the system because it's dropping below 0. And we're going to open these both all the way up, hook it up to both the high side and the low side, so guarantee that it cleans everything out. So there's really nothing else that you need to do. The vacuum's going to do all the work. All we got to do now is put some time into it, because it takes about a good 30 minutes to an hour, depending on what you've all changed out. If you changed out everything, you're gonna most likely put a vacuum on it overnight. People say longer the better. So all we did was flush out the components. We didn't change out the air compressor, so I'm only going to be putting a vacuum on it for a good 45 minutes, and then we're going to see if the vacuum holds, which would indicate that there's no leak in the system. So it's been about a little over 45 minutes. You see the needle is still below 0, which indicates the vacuum is still on the system. And before we turn off the compressor, I'm gonna close these little DGs so the air doesn't leak back out. Turn this off. Okay, air compressor is off. See, the vacuum is holding in about a good 30 minutes. You see that the green needle is still, as long as it's not right here next to the 0, we are still good. It's in the green, which indicates that it is holding vacuum. So next I am going to be adding the oil to the system. Okay, now we got the high side taken off. We got our hose hooked up. There's that Schrader valve taken out. Let's go add this oil. Here, the oil line, which I have marked, is at 3 ounces. A little extra wood in between 3 ounces and 4 ounces is Schrader valve back in. Alright, so there we go. We're all done. So I would not have had to have did a vacuum on the system, rented both these tools. It's a little over 300 plus tax. I'm getting the money back. But I mean, I wouldn't have had to have run and gotten all these tools and put a vacuum on the system if I did not flush it out. Like I said, we had to put the vacuum on there to get out all the excess solution and any extra dirt or debris that got into the system. The vacuum did hold on the system, indicating that there is no leak. So the system is flushed out, cleaned out. We put some oil back in, so now all it needs is Freon and it should be good to go. Okay, so we made it back from town. I had to run into town and return the tools, get my money back. Anyway, real quick before I end the whole video, I'm gonna be adding this can of Freon. Got this end hooked up. Make sure it's not in the red, which would indicate that something is wrong. So we're gonna turn on the vehicle and add this Freon. We got the AC on to the max, and we see that the needle is running in the white. So if it was in the red, there would be a problem, but there is no problem here. Alright, so let's see what the gauge says. The gauge says it is filled and it's holding at green. It's not jumping into the red, so we are good to go. There you go. AC system is flushed out, vacuumed, clean, refilled with Freon. So last night I wanted to show proof that the AC was actually working. We flushed out the system, put in the Freon, put everything away. So right now we're inside the vehicle. We got the AC on. AC's to max. And we got the recirculation on. So I got my temperature reader here. So this is what the air conditioning to the max. And got the recirculation on. And you can see it's running about 50 degrees. So this is compared to the current temperature that I took just before I got into the vehicle. And you can see the difference that the current temperature is in the 70s. Oh, sorry about that. Kind of moved it around and would jump back up. But you see it's 50 compared to the current temperature. So there you can see that. So the vehicle's still on. Let's turn the vehicle off. So there you can see that the AC is working. And that is everything I've done to the vehicle since I've posted it for sale. Changing out the hubs, both the front hubs, 3 new tires, new transmission pan gasket, oil pan gasket, changed out the solenoid pack on the transmission, changed out the 2 lateral links on the rear, did an alignment, did a flush, did a vacuum. So we are going to look into some prices and figure out how much is actually being deducted from the vehicle, what you're going to be paying for in parts. This is the current vehicle. It's not perfect, but if you buy a used vehicle, it might be nice and shiny on the outside, but this vehicle, you have proof of the work that has been done. If you bought it today, you'd be able to drive off